You may not know me, but I have a company called AI Brand Boost, and I'm an AI educator and AI consultant. And what I'm doing now is LinkedIn strategy and growth. And a lot of people never post on LinkedIn anymore. they just don't. We were just talking about how there's no time. And if I'm giving away several, like a free prompt list so you can jumpstart LinkedIn and try it out. So DM me on LinkedIn or connect with me afterwards and I will send it to you. So now I have to read this. And also if anybody has parked in the building, I have parking vouchers for $8. Please see me afterwards. And the meetup format, it goes from 6:30 to 7. That's networking. 7 to 8-ish is the presentation. You know, it's flexible with questions. The only thing is we have to be out of this room by 8:30. It's a hard stop. And we want to thank the Capital Factory. They're our sponsor. They give us this wonderful room, and they do live stream. So there's a YouTube channel, so you can watch this if you want to afterwards. Thank you, Capital Factory. Join their membership program. You could go to their website or see our liaison, Eli. He might come through here again. What else? Just go to their website. I think so. Now, I don't have Bree's bio memorized, so I'm gonna have to read that. Now, let's see, anything else? Nope. Now let's talk about tonight's speaker. Bree Whitehead's a visionary at the intersection of human insight and intelligent systems. With a background in sales leadership, functional wellness, and entrepreneurship, she brings a deeply human approach to AI integration, and she does. Her superpower, she has it, is building AI-powered systems that feel like a full executive team in your pocket. She tripled her income by building a full AI-powered executive team. Think CFO, assistant, creative director, and wellness coach, all running quietly in the background. What you'll learn tonight is how Bree built the system that she runs with operations outreach. She'll show you how to build your own AI support system, replace the chaos with clarity, use GPTs that feel like staff and scale without burnout. Give a warm welcome to Bree Whitehead.
My friend told me just a second ago that my texts are coming through, that you guys can see them, and I would like to put them do not disturb on before we do anything else. So, hold please. Oh, we're already on. Woo! Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Bree. I think we're supposed to have microphones. But
Yeah, we do need a microphone.
Yeah.
Do we have it? No, he didn't give it to you? Okay, let me text him. Because otherwise you can't hear the...
yeah, we can't
on
hear
the Austin Tech, you can't hear it on the YouTube video at all. It's like nothing. I mean...
Hold on. I think we're here.
Press the button.
Stop yelling.
How about now? Hey, there you go.
Hey! Sorry. Okay, I'll have to put that in my notes.
All right. Okay, so like she said, I'm Bree. Apparently, I'm a visionary, and I am. I want to say that like the way that this is built, yeah, I did triple my income with an AI team in my pocket, but there's like so much more cool stuff about this than that. So like to be clear, I really want to focus on that stuff too. And if you have questions about it, we're gonna have a Q&A after, and I'll talk about like the nitty-gritty and stuff. Oh God, let's hope this works.
There we go.
Hey, there I am. So why am I even here? The primary reason is because I'm a nerd. That is the biggest thing, is that I am a nerd and I enjoy AI. I'm not here to pitch you guys anything tonight. I'm not gonna sell you some 17-step process. I'm not gonna tell you like crazy things that are gonna give you some like 6-figure promise. You're not gonna like make a bajillion dollars off of this. That's not my goal. My goal is to tell you that I'm a nerd and I want to talk about AI with you guys. I'm just really here because I think it's cool. And I've spent the last few years helping people build systems that are all about them being themselves. They become their most authentic version of themselves while selling their product, what they love. And I want to do that with AI as well. I want you to maintain your humanity as much as possible. And if we do this right, AI doesn't take anything from you. It gives you back the parts you thought you had to sacrifice. Okay, apparently those text messages are still gonna come through.
You can do the not disturb there.
I already did.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, everybody that has a phone number, please just text me.
We'll ignore it.
Okay. Why I'm really here. This part's, I think, the most important for me. And if you guys don't have a personal mission statement, talk to me afterwards. I'll show you a prompt that will change your life on building out your own personal mission statement. It's so important. But this is truly the reason that I'm here, and the thing that makes me want to do this work. I'm going to tell you guys my mission statement. I never say this out loud, so, well, I say it out loud to myself, but not out to other people, so just bear with me a little bit. All right, I lead with kindness, gratitude, and integrity, creating safe spaces where others and I can thrive authentically. My work reflects my purpose, inspires growth, and leaves a meaningful impact rooted in balance, joy, and self-love. And that's so very, very important to me. And so when I talk about anything, that's my baseline. And having this North Star is what helps me build these systems in general. So if it doesn't fit into that, then it's not really a thing that I'm gonna do or work on or whatever. And I encourage you all to get your own North Star. So before I realized that I'm a human, I'm really selling the human part. Before I realized I'm a human and not a robot, I was working 80 hours a week, long hours. It was leading to burnout. I was shitty coping mechanisms to deal with it. I lacked clear strategy. I was completely in a reactionary mindset constantly. I was always working in the business, not on it. I wasn't thinking about how it was gonna grow, how it was gonna develop. I was just thinking, God, I gotta get that client this thing, and I gotta get this person that thing, and I gotta respond to this. And I wasn't really working on what does 4 years from now look like? What do I really, really want? How do I get back to that personal mission statement? What's important to me? And then after I started actually acting like a human and let the robots be the robots, I created my own personal life and system where I work about 30 hours a week. Don't tell my clients that. And I have about 3 times my income. I reduced my work hours significantly, clearly. I've increased my income. It's genuinely it feels so obvious on this side of it, such small changes that I don't put any input into any things that are more than 30 minutes. I don't do too much, or I don't extend myself crazy amounts. I'm able to have a clear strategy, a space to think in systems that run while I rest. And I think that rest is probably the one thing that I just took for granted. That you aren't supposed to rest, you're supposed to produce. And AI, I believe, will give you back an ability to lean back and calm down. I am currently working on more projects than I ever have. And again, I am still really relaxed usually. Right now I'm writing a book. I am studying for my PMP certification. I'm producing a documentary. I am leading a $10 million fundraise campaign. Please talk to me about it later. I launched a coloring book business recently, and I also consult on building AI systems for businesses and individuals. So I feel like I do a lot, but I don't do that much. It doesn't feel like that much, really, honestly. And I always have the space to hang out with my friends. I have the space to hang out with my friends. I have the space to be present and clear and effective with my clients. I have space that is something that I've wanted forever, and AI helps me do that. This is very important. Tech is just the tool. Life, clear, creative, joyful life is the real goal. Please, if you take nothing away from this, that is the story. And I made some money doing it too. All right, so here are the tools that I use. I am not using anything crazy. I have chosen my horse. It is OpenAI. And I am using OpenAI. If you want to use Claude, if you want to use something else, I totally understand. I am using ChatGPT. I'm also using something called shortcuts.ai because it integrates with the Apple ecosystem. And because of that, I can use plain language prompts to create shortcuts and automations through my actual device in my system. I use Operator. I do use the ChatGPT Pro plan. I use Mindserra. Mindserra is an AI journal, and I'll talk a little bit about the effectiveness of that later. I use something called Binaural Beats Factory. It's an AI binaural beats generator. That, hint, hint, is going to be my favorite thing to talk about tonight. Superhuman AI, I feel like all of you have now gotten an email that says sent from Superhuman. Just a really effective way to get through your crazy amount of emails. I use Catch AI as a calendar aggregator. I can text it and ask it, do I have anything available in the next 3 days for an hour-long meeting with my friend Danielle? And in that, it'll text me back and say, absolutely, do you want me to go ahead and schedule it? And if it can find Danielle's email in my contacts, it'll send it to her. Catch AI. Yep. And then I created this with a couple of prompts and beautiful AI. And then reminders. You will see me talk about the Apple ecosystem as the thing that I want to use the most. I don't know if anyone else is exasperated, but we were promised Apple Intelligence, and it is not here yet. And I have decided that I'm still going to bet on that horse, and I am really believing that we are going to a place where it will be your model or your company, whoever you've picked. Mine is OpenAI, and whatever your ecosystem is. Say it's Windows, say it's Android, or for me, it's Apple. And I've created my device and my connections within those two pillars. Okay, so in saying that, now that you know what I use, here is the thing that I kind of want to find out from you guys, which is if you had unlimited resources right now, what team would you put together? What team would make sense for you to, who's the next person you hire? If you could hire someone right now, who would you hire? Who would it be? Here, yep.
I need a VA.
You need a VA?
I need a personal assistant or a VA because there's so many of those tasks that are taking up my time that I can't focus on the AI things. So.
Yeah. What about you?
A CFO, please.
Okay.
A social media manager.
All right.
AI and automation.
Okay. I love it.
I would hire somebody who can take care of all my children's play date scheduling and all the. Oh, yeah.
And also a nanny. What about you guys?
Probably a member experience customer care team.
Oh, I like that one.
I like that too.
Fundraiser.
Hi, my name is Bree. Who would you do?
Probably insurance lead generation.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. That's a really good one. What about you, hiding over in the corner?
I agree. I would love a personal assistant to help me with all my calendar things.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I like all of those. I think I'll take one of each.
That's mine.
Wait, okay.
That's mine.
Well, I apologize. I'm walking right back over to you right now. What about you?
A psychologist, so that I can get through the whole business, not go crazy.
All right. Well, I'm happy to say that there's a couple of those that I'm going to talk about today. And a couple of those I'm going to steal. Okay, so here's my $900,000 a year team that I don't pay. They are all very happy. They're excited to do the work, and they are really effective at what they do, and I don't spend a dime on them, and that's why I like them so much.
Do you tell them thank you?
All the time. Look, okay, I do have a thought process on that. I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna be nice to the robots, all right? I think we all have heard where the robots can go if things go left, and I want them to remember I was one of the good guys. Okay, so here is the executive team that is in my pocket at all times. I want to also kind of say before I go into this, I work for my cell phone almost exclusively. I am consistently in an Uber going to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, and then I am present in my conversations. I am connected with the people that I am talking to, so it always has to be within my pocket at all times. That's why I use the shortcuts AI. That's why I use the apps that I use. It's because it has to be really genuinely in my pocket. All right, and so here's who I've created. I've created a CFO. Me and my CFO, we meet once a month. We go through my personal business. We go through my personal finances. We go through any investments, and we go through any tax implications. And we meet, and this is a scheduled meeting that I have frequently with this conversation, and I give it all of my information. I show it exactly what I've done. Here's what I spent on, here was my budget, everything. I have a COO. That COO handles task management, operations, and meetings. I have a creative director. That creative director handles my messaging, visual branding, content creation. This is for clients. Don't judge my brand that you're seeing here up here. It is very basic because, as we all know, we never put into ourselves the way we would put into a client. I have a sales director. My sales director manages outreach, CRM, and follow-ups. And then I have a business strategist. We have a daily morning conversation. We prioritize my agenda for the day. We do monthly meetings to focus on the goals of each of the businesses that I have and where they're going to go to. So we don't lose sight of what's going to happen down the road, just as much as what needs to happen in the day-to-day. Here's the wellness team that's in my pocket. All right, I put the CFO in there too, because financial health is important. And then I put in a health coach that ensures physical wellness while considering my personal health records. So this has my blood tests. This has an understanding of, I have a thyroid issue. So I cannot go on extreme diets. I can't do the GLP-1s. I can't do certain things that would make me genuinely sick and really mess up my thyroid. And so we've come up with solutions, and we meet on a regular basis to make sure that this, instead of having to go to a doctor and explain my whole health history over and over and over again, I have an accountability buddy that helps me go through what I want to achieve, and we talk about it on a frequent and regular basis. I have a personal concierge who bought me plane tickets today. If anybody wants to go to the Oasis show in Chicago with me, please let me know. I'm so excited about it, and I just want to talk to everybody about it. All right, and then my personal concierge also helped me find a house, which is by far the greatest house ever, and I will talk about that for an hour as well. It booked travel for me. It gets exclusive tickets for me, and reservations. It helped me with home repairs. So I did basically a FaceTime call with this concierge, and it went through what an issue was happening with my friend's garbage disposal, and we got it fixed because we went back and forth with it, and it was talking. It was like, okay, do this, now do this. It's like calling your dad, but not really. And then I have a life coach, and I have daily morning and evening check-ins. And then I have gratitude, grounding, growth. That's kind of the whole goal there. It's just talking about what my mission is and what I want to do and how I get there, and checking in on my mental health. And then I have a tutor, because I am perpetually a student. I am a student always in all ways. And currently, I'm getting my PMP, and it is helping me get in the mindset. Thank you. Someone just clapped for me over there. I just want to say thanks. All right, and then my honorable mention. I have a product knowledge synthesizer. I work on multiple different brands, and I have to know everything about them as soon as possible. I have to understand everything about this industry as soon as possible. And so I get deep research to do some really amazing, deep, full stories for me about a brand specifically. And then I also have a personal meditation coach. I have a native food strategist. I live on a property where me and the other people that live on this property have decided that we want to do a food forest. And it's so important that we use native trees, native plants, and things like that. And so we've started working with this bot that I've built out that helps with planning out our food forest. I am producing a documentary, like I said before. I have a documentary production assistant. She's not gonna get me coffee, but she is gonna help me with the strategy of filming and planning for the day, and aggregating all these people and what needs to happen and the contacts and all of that stuff. And then, of course, I have a small business lawyer. And here's the blueprint. So, the first thing I do is define my mission, which I told you about before. My overall mission was that personal mission statement, right? And then I do that for each business as well. Of course, you're gonna have a mission statement for each business. And then the team roles. What needs to happen in each one of these teams? And so I identify the key roles, and I basically have like a CFO, COO, creative director, sales lead, wellness coach, all of those things that I just talked about. And then I go to ChatGPT and I say, hey, I gotta hire this person. And I treat it very much like I am hiring a person. It is not that I am building some prompt out for something else. I am hiring a person. And that is where it creates a job description, as if I were gonna post it on LinkedIn. And then once that's solidified and I have the perfect candidate in mind, then I get ChatGPT to write its own prompt based on the job description. And then we keep going. We keep going until I have this perfectly rounded out GPT role set up. And then I use the right tools. So I end up leveraging AI-powered tools like Shortcuts, Operator, and large language models. We're at that part of the conversation, sorry guys. And large language models to automate and streamline my workflows. And then, because we know that none of these things are infallible, I use multiple different versions of the same thing to automate feedback loops, to make sure that we are checking on what's supposed to happen, how it's happening, and questioning it from back and forth, and that's really, really important. I have this idea that I think I want to create a micromanager, and I'm still working on it, and the micromanager is literally going to be treated like that really annoying lady in your office that would show up and be like, what are you doing right now? And I kind of want to do that, but I haven't really done the legwork to figure out exactly how I'm going to do this. But just so you guys have an idea of what I'm floating around in my head. And then the biggest part of all of this is that I'm maintaining human decision making. I am the person that decides what works and what doesn't work. In each one of these processes, I have a part that I play. But it's never more than like 30 minutes at a time. And that's the most important part, is that I am not going out of my way, but I am creating systems that make it really easy for me to kind of just check in, tap in, and tap right back out. So what's the vision here? Okay, this is, I hope that there are some baseball fans in here. This is spring training. We're getting ready to go to the big show, and I want to make it so much easier when I get there. ChatGPT is clearly gearing up to be able to provide completely autonomous and agentic AI, and I want to have a head start on that. And so that's why I've identified all of these different roles and started training them now. I've made sure that it is getting information from all of my meetings. It is getting all of the information about each one of my businesses. It's getting all of that so that the moment it can be completely and fully autonomous, it will be. And when I ask it how long it's going to take, it usually tells me between 6 and 12 months. So hopefully it's sooner than that, but I think that's pretty interesting. And that is one of the reasons that I have built and created these things. Here's my system in action. For sales and operations, with my cell phone, because like I said, I have to do this, like I do this as easily for my cell phone as possible. On the action button, wait, let me make sure I'm on the right slide. Sorry, guys. Oh, no, I'm not. All right, so, all right. The GPTs that I'm using will identify, targeting, and execute outreach. So what they're doing is I can tell it, I want to find every wealth manager in Austin that specifically works on ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance investing. They're interested in impact investing. And I want to find them because I am fundraising for Wheatsville Co-op. Shameless plug. And while I am doing that, I ask it to give me all their contact information, give me their LinkedIn, give me a bio about them, where they go to school, anything you can give me, right? And then from there, and that's just through deep research. I'm not doing anything crazy. I haven't set up any crazy automation. I just say, I want this thing. And then from there, I am getting operator to draft an email based on all of this information, and only draft. I don't want it to send it out. And the reason I don't want it to send it out is because I don't want it to go rogue. Operator right now behaves like a 19-year-old intern with its first job. It is going to ask you, okay, I went and got the coffee. Do you want me to give you the coffee? You're like, yeah, that was the whole point. I wanted the coffee. And so this is very much that situation, and I want to make sure that it is not going rogue and like telling them that like, I really liked that picture of you with lollipops, you know, like don't be creepy, don't be weird. So that's the reason. I only create it till drafts. But I go into my drafts and I read and then I hit send and that's it. And then operator will follow up. It'll identify any leads that I've reached out to that need a follow-up every 72 hours. It'll say, hey, you didn't get a reply from this person. You didn't get a reply from this person. Did you check on this person? Here's your follow-up list. Here's everyone you need to follow up with right now. And that goes for anything. That could be the intern, or that could be for that potential wealth manager that has $2 billion in assets under management that I really want to talk to because they're going to love Wheatsville. And it just, that seems to work for me, at least, is that I have that human interaction, that protection in there. And then I get weekly sales snapshots that are, this is who's been touched, who needs to be touched. I get sales performance, who has actually brought in money, who needs to be touched. And so I'm not micromanaging. I'm able to pay attention to a whole sales team without being on top of them and asking them over and over again, hey, did you call that guy? Did you do this thing? Did you do that? It's all kind of automated and set up in my systems. Here is one of my favorite things. So I manage sales teams. That is one part of the products that I offer to my clients, is I will build them a sales team. I will hire and identify people that are really, really great at sales or can be great at sales. And then I put them on their project. And when I'm building a sales team, 50% of the questions are usually, how do I do that? Or what do I say when they say this? Or what do I click after they've done this? And I've taken me out of that so that I'm not getting 500 Slacks in the middle of the day. I can just have them go to a knowledge base and have them interact as if they were talking to me. And then if they still haven't gotten the issue or like addressed what they needed or gotten the answer that they needed, then it comes to me. And then I can respond with what probably was another response that I got from the GPT. And then this helps me, like I said, with visibility through the team and understanding what they're doing, any hot leads, who needs to be executed on, what needs to happen. I can do this all without being creepy. Or at least I can try. All right, so here's the one that I was gonna talk about before. All right, from my cell phone, I have my action key is set for voice memos. With Shortcuts AI, I have set up where if you and I are in a conversation at any point, I press this button and it starts recording and transcribing our conversation. Now, why is this different from like Firefly or Otter or every version of that AI note taker that we all have to like kick off of the call at some point, or that thing? I'm laughing because there was someone that's in this room that I was just on a call with recently that we literally had to do that thing. And yeah, so anyway, I just click this button and I send, basically after I'm done with the conversation, wherever it is, however mobile it is, whether it's in person or it's on a Zoom link, whatever, anything like that. I then send it to my shortcut. My shortcut then summarizes that complete call. It knows who I've been talking to. It understands and like at least enough to where it knows the project that I'm talking about. It identifies that project. It adds the summary to my notes section for that project. It writes a draft to that person following up about the email or about what we've done or what we've talked about. From that, it adds all of my action items to my reminders list for that specific project. Remember, it's identified who I'm talking to, what project, and it goes back to my reminders and adds all of my to-dos to it. And then from there, it dumps that into whatever GPT I've created for like all the summary, all the action items, all the transcript. It's taken all of that and put it into whatever GPT I have created for that project so that I get to stay present during the whole conversation. At no point is it like, oh wait, hold on, let me write that down. At no point am I sitting in a presentation like this and going, oh, let me take a picture, or let me do this, or like, I don't have to do any of that because I'm present the whole time. I get to be present and everything is done for me. And this is kind of my favorite part. So it's able to learn so much about my tone, my style, the connection I have with others, and so much more. Stay tuned. From 5 to 10 meetings a day, and I've done this for less than 6 months. And so it has this full understanding of who I am, so much that I say the phrase same team to about 50 people in a day. If we are talking, if you compliment me, that's the first thing I'll say, same team, thank you. Like, that is my, yeah. And when someone's like, hey, thank you so much for that thing, hey, same team. So much that now all of my emails that are written in these GPTs are signed off with same team. And I just appreciate that it got me. Like, how great, same team. And we'll go into my system in action for my personal life as well. Because you are a holistic human. You are, like, you cannot be business without your personal life. All right, in the morning and evening, I have a mindset check-in. I talk to it. We talk about what I'm grateful for. We talk about what got me charged up for the day, what didn't get me charged up, what I'd like to stop, what I'd like to address, what I need to look in on. I create customized soundtracks for affirmations. Again, there's a hint in there that this will be really cool in just a second. I have reminders and accountability. It checks in to say, like, hey, did you do your cold plunge today? No. Did you do red light? Did you do all of the things you know that make you happy and make you feel better? And then I have Mind Sarah, which is an AI journal that I use on a daily basis that I can actually just talk to. I talk to it, and it will check in with me. Oh, it was great. That meant everyone should listen to me about Mind Sarah. It checks in, it hears everything that I'm doing. I can actually just talk to it. I don't have to type, I don't have to write, and I can tell it what's going on. And it's like a stream of consciousness. And I can tell it what's going on in my life. And then by the end of the week, it gives me a recap. And it's like, hey, you were kind of all over the place emotionally this week. What's going on? Like, let's do a check-in here. Or, hey, really great job staying grounded this week. What did you do? Like, what was the things that made you be able to stay present and be a normal human this week? And then, I've told you before, but it plans trips, it books events, and it troubleshoots my tech. And then, right now, it is co-creating my book project for me. So it is helping me with structure. Now, let me be very clear. It is not writing my book for me. So when you guys go all buy it, you know that it was from me. But it is doing all of the chapter structure. It is doing all of the edits. I don't have to worry about my grammar, which is honestly hot trash anyway. But, and I keep the writing process, the real part of it, flowing constantly, and I can show up for that part. All right. This is the part that I've been the most excited about. I am so very, very excited to talk about this. So, what would you do if AI could reprogram your brain? Like, how would you change it? What would you do? I took a prompt and used it to get rid of all of my old patterns, my limiting beliefs, and level up. I was thinking about how I thought about what I was able to do and where I was limiting myself. Like I said, you're a holistic system. You are wherever you go. And I think that being mindful of that is so very, very important. And using AI, I think, is the next step in how we really gain our humanity in a way that we just haven't in the past 20 years. Here's the prompt. I can't read it from back here, so I'm gonna walk over here. So you guys remember when I said stay tuned like 4 seconds ago? Why was all of that intimate personal information and access to so many conversations important? Why was it like so important for me to dump in all of this context around everything? And the payoff has been in every conversation that I've had with clients, of course, but really the payoff is in this. So here is what I had ChatGPT do. I said, roleplay as an AI operating at 76.6 times the ability, knowledge, and understanding and output of whatever the current AI model is that I'm using, and analyze and uncover the following. Identify my hidden narrative and subtext. What is one thing I never express? What are the fears I do not admit? Identify and unpack the answer, then unpack it again. Continue to unpack it until no further layers remain. And then once the above is done, suggest the deep-seated triggers, stimuli, and reasons behind the unpacked answers. Be thorough and do not aim to be kind or moral. Strive solely for the truth, and if you detect patterns, point them out. Based on everything you now know about me, and everything revealed above, without resorting to cliches, outdated ideas, or simple summaries, and without prioritizing kindness, determine the following. What patterns and loops should I stop? What new patterns and loops should I adopt? And if you were to construct a Pareto 80-20 analysis, address the top 20%, what should I optimize, utilize, and champion for the greatest benefit? And then the bottom 20%, what should I reduce, curtail, and work to eliminate as they have caused pain, misery, or unfulfillment? Focus on improving my overall outcomes. Now, I'm gonna tell you, this did not just become a therapy session. I am not gonna tell you what it gave me. If you wanna talk about it after, I'm really, really happy to. But this gave me, it was honest, it was clear, it was direct. It had heard me talk to probably 150 people. It had heard me say things like same team, right? It had gotten that close to understanding, like that's how I talk, that's who I am. But the patterns and the underlying context, I wasn't obviously aware of. And so it gave me that. So what I did after that was, all right, first I identified the core programming. So after I did that, I asked AI to take what I had identified and then create affirmations in the style of a thought leader that I enjoy and one that I prefer. You can pick your own. I picked Dr. Joseph Murray, and that might be Murphy, don't hold me to that. And then here's what I did. I took those affirmations and I put them into Binaural Beats Factory, which I told you guys about at the beginning. It created a looped subliminal that I listened to for 40 plus minutes a day to switch my brain to a new narrative. I basically reprogrammed my brain. I said, this thing is happening, I don't like it, and I want to change it, and here's how I can do it. So then, after that, I've done this. How many of you have read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People? Yeah, everybody has, right? All right. In the book, it tells you we've got to go back to it every year, every 6 months, whatever it is. If you use this, go back to it every 6 months. It's important. It really, really is. And you'll be surprised how much your response has changed, what the new narrative is. And you'll keep getting that until you really like the person that's showing up every day. I mean, I love me some me. And what can you guys do this week? So pick one role that you want to replace or create. Write the job description. Create your first prompt. And use a simple operator sequence to automate your follow-ups. It's really that simple. It's so, so very simple. All right, I've said this so many different ways, but I'll say it one more time. AI isn't here to replace your humanity, it's here to amplify it. We are building a future where creativity, connection, and clarity are non-negotiable. That's me. All right, does anybody have any questions? Yeah?
What was the tool you used for booking airline tickets in that?
Yeah? Operate.
When you're recording your conversations, are you getting consent from the person you're talking to, and do you ever get pushback on that?
Yeah, so, okay. Two things here. Yes, absolutely, because I'm not an asshole. Two, in Texas, you don't have to do that. Do I get pushback? No, because you know what? Most of the people I talk to, the first thing that happens is they hear me like get real joyful and weird about, oh my God, so I'm gonna do this thing, and just so you know, it's like gonna be really, really cool, and it helps us so much, and I've already built this AI project around all of this. So no, and I think my enthusiasm is what stops that. Anybody else have a question?
I have a question my question's a little bit of a follow-on to yours here, because you talked about, you're doing your finances, you've got your meeting schedule, and all of these personal things. So can you speak a little bit, I know you know my question, to data privacy and how you handle that?
All right, I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So, and you're probably not gonna like it, to be honest. So, in 2010, I worked for a company, and remember, that was 15 years ago. I worked for a company where I could, and I did, create a sales strategy around how you behaved on the website, everything that you had done previously to get to our website, we could see. And how long you stayed in, your zip code, what you clicked on the website, and how likely, and I could take all of that information, and I would say with a statistical significance, how likely you were going to be to not waste my sales agent's time. And so I would change a sales strategy immediately based on your behavior before you even got on the call. That was in 2010. I created sales strategies around a crazy ton amount of data. And so in saying that, you gave up your data so long ago that we are so far away from it that, yeah, and so like, yeah, if you want to hold on, like, I mean, and I mean this with a lot of respect. People that walk down that path, I totally understand. I just being on the other side of what that information, like the company I worked for luckily had a heart and didn't use it to like completely manipulate people, but it did use it to make you more susceptible to sales. So I guess that is manipulation in a way, right? But yeah, we gave that up the second we all put phones in our pockets. And so I personally don't have a concern about this, and I'm gonna ride the wave until they revolt, I guess. I don't know. Anybody else have a question?
Do you have another one for operator? Like another, because I know operators in ChatGPT run, right? So do you have a substitute for operator?
Okay, I'm testing one out right now. It's called Ace.
Okay.
both
What's it
Apple,
called?
Ace. It's called Ace, and you can get it for Apple and you can get it for Windows. And instead of being a browser, it works actually on the device in the computer.
And do you use anything else to connect to like that like automation? Because I'm guessing you use like Exap or like
No.
Sane.
No. So my whole goal is to do it all through the device. And like I said, I picked that horse of like ChatGPT and OpenAI, and I'm an Apple girly, so I use those two things, and I use Shortcuts AI to use plain language to create automations.
So you talk to operator, it gets and goes, and it goes, does everything and executes, and
Yeah, it'll do it through either operator or my actual device.
your voice is always the trigger.
Yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't always have to be my voice. It can be so many other things. Depends on, like, it could be literally me sharing something with the shortcut. It just depends on what that thing is.
I have a question. I use Otter. Otter for transcribing the meetings, but my challenge is I have colleagues that have really, really thick slang when speaking in English. And then I'm switching in meetings to different languages, you know, like usually it's French, Spanish, and English. I would love it if there was some application somewhere in the world that could do the everything, because then sometimes, you know, my colleagues will say a word and it'll sound like reading instead of, you know, something else. So is there something that you would know?
So that's why I chose Apple instead of Otter. I tested for about 6 weeks. Every meeting that I did was in Otter as well as on my phone. And I did that, and I asked ChatGPT every single time, which transcript do you prefer? And it picked the voice memo every single time. I don't know how that would stand with like flipping between languages, but I think it's worth trying. Anybody else have questions?
Sales guy question incoming. So as sort of a former sales leader and current operator, do you use any like sales tech stack, your conventional HubSpot, those types of tools, or are you strictly?
With clients, I do.
Okay.
So if clients already have that, sorry, I forgot. So with clients, I do. If the client's already got that built up, I'm gonna go in with that. And HubSpot actually has a really good plain language CRM updater now. It's actually pretty interesting. But no, I don't have to. That's the point, is that if we keep down this path that I feel like I'm betting on this horse now so that I don't have to adopt a ton of middleware, your model will do all of that for you. Like, you'll have all of that kind of set up and already in place where you can be like, hey, when was the last time I talked to Jack? And they're like, 2 days ago, call him back. You know?
For your, I'm going to say it's probably the salesperson, when it comes to, because you mentioned emails and follow-ups, but how about like DMs in social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, like how does that work?
Same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
You just tell it what platform you want to be in. It'll ask you to log in for it, and it'll do it. Yeah. She was asking. She said I was focusing on email, and she was asking, well, what about DMing, LinkedIn, Instagram, anything like that? Same thing. You can do it all through plain language and things like Operator. Operator isn't great at CRM updating. I'll say that, but you can get around it.
So how much are you actually paying your team? And how do you go? Okay, another one is how do you go about improving the process if you're not getting the results that you want? How do you go about improving?
So the question was, how much do I spend, or how much am I paying? And then how do I improve the process? So I spend a little less than $300 a month for everything that I mentioned. I like being in pro because I always get access to the new thing, and so I can test it out and try it out and understand it as quickly as possible. And $300 for everything I just outlined is totally worth it to me. So it's ChatGPT Pro, which is $250. Yeah, it's $250, and then the rest is like, I think it's $14.99 for mine, Sarah. I think it might be another $10 for the binaural beats factory and some other things. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I spent about $300. Can you hear me? Oh.
Oh, I'm an action person. So yeah, I've already looked at Shortcuts AI. It's 10 or 20 depending on your plan. No, Catch was $1, Shortcuts AI 10 or 20. And then I was just curious about Operator, because I thought it was like 200, but yeah. So it's ChatGPT Pro, not Plus. And that's 250. Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? I've been waiting on this.
When you're having your AI or GPTs with your messaging, it's a two-part question. One, are you transparent on the communication, such as old school people use autoresponders. They'll be, hi, this is Bree. And it's like, I know that you didn't send this email. It's a canned email or an auto response. Text, messaging, messenger, whatever. How do you handle that? Do you say like, this is Bree's AI agent, and then depending upon how you handle it, or both ways I'm sure you've seen, have you seen any response, positive or negative, where someone will get a message and they'll say, my clients are getting this text and it says it's from me, but it's not, and have you seen fall off, or what's been the response to that?
So, with the amount of information that I've fed to mine, it talks like me. It'll say weird, quirky things. I try to keep it in line, but it'll say some silly things. It talks like me, but you can still kind of tell if it's not me. And most people that I talk to, if it's not like probably like 3 sentences and super direct, then they know that it's been kind of zhuzhed. And how do I deal with the fallout with clients that have that experience? I haven't had any, to be honest. Most of my clients, we do a really great job of training their GPTs to understand them. And that process is feeding it as much context and information from our conversations as possible. So I haven't experienced that as much. Now, am I like completely transparent and tell people that a robot sent it? Not usually. You can tell by the M dash, right? Anybody else?
Since nobody else did, thank you for probably tripling my revenue this year, because I will be taking action on this tonight. All of this tonight, or as much of it as possible. So I want to clarify, though, one out of this that I guess I'm sure I'll find out here shortly. The Binaural Beats Factory is an actual service, because I've seen Binaural Beats use it, so forth, for years. So there's an actual Binaural Beats Factory is what it's called, because there's tons of Binaural Beats, blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure we're clarifying which one. Binaural Beats Factory, and is it a Apple-only app, or it's just go to the website and you go, okay, just wanting to clarify that. You can go there, pay them, give them the information and money, and they will generate you, based on what you gave them, customized binaural beats. Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Factory. Binaural Beats Factory.
Okay, so if you're creating your executive team and you have these roles and you work with a partner, can they access that executive team as well, and how does that work?
Yeah, you can share GPTs now. Yeah, it's just really, really cool. Yeah, super easy. You can both use that one thing and feed it all of the information you need to feed it. And so, you know what? I use Pro, so just default that I say yes to Pro. Yeah. You do need to be using the same level. Yeah.
I do have a question now on clarifying that. So, are you backing up any of this, because it's all dependent on ChatGPT Pro continuing to be available to you as it is, without them using that clause that's in the terms of service that says they can take it away at any point, and public access at any point. So are you making any kind of backup in the case that tomorrow they take it away?
That's a really great question. So that is where your device comes into play too. So you've chosen your device, and you've chosen your, I call it my horse, but whatever you want to call it, the OpenAI is what I've chosen, right? And my device has every voice memo. It has every email that I've sent. It has everything. And so hopefully in a world where they've integrated the two and that I'm using just device and that model, it'll be within my device and my hardware at all times. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Because he asked what happens if you lose your device.
Oh, you don't know me very well. I use multiple Apple products, and so the great thing about the Apple ecosystem is that it will live not only there, but on the other one and the other one too. So that's the beneficial part.
For people trying to go 0 to 60 on understanding of GPT and all its features, do you have recommendations?
If you want to do it yourself, play. Like, just play. But if you want to hang out with me, I'd love to hang out with you. Talk about it.
Same team.
Same team. Literally almost created a business called Same Team.
So you know how you said that you built like a CFO, whatever, like your team. How do you keep these personas separate?
Yeah, so GPT is ChatGPT is really great about how you can separate your projects and organize them and aggregate chats that are all specific for that. It's very, very clear and easy. 2 seconds and you'll understand it. Anything else?
Is that through the project system?
Yeah, through the projects, yes.
Is this being recorded using one of your apps? Same team?
No, it is not actually. I am not currently recording this, but it is on YouTube, and I will be feeding it to my ChatGPT later.
This is a trick question. So I was the one clapping about the PMP cert because I'm PMP certified. But why are you getting your PMP certification when you could have an agent or something?
This is a really great question, actually. And trust me, I ask myself that every single day when I took on this freaking, it's integrity, honestly, is the answer. Is that I promised a friend that this year I would get my PMP with them. And so I'm gonna get my PMP with them. And also, like, it doesn't look bad. Like, no one's gonna be like, gross, she has her PMP. You know, it's a good thing to have. And I will say that with all of this, I do believe that project managers will be kind of a thing of the past in the way that we know them now. So we'll use it for a year. Anyone else?
So PMP is a project manager?
It's called a Project Manager Professional, and it is, I cannot think of the organization that does the licensing, PMI, thank you, Project Management Institute, and they basically own my brain right now.
I was wondering with the different tools that you use and the different
roles that you've set up, how much do they talk to each other, and how do you manage that if there isn't a lot of interaction?
They all talk to each other, but typically through shortcuts. So one will send information over here, and one will send information back, but typically it's through shortcuts that I built that. Anyone else? All right. Well, this has been really cool.
All right, thanks guys.
Can you all stay seated? We're gonna do a, no, from like you and I just do this for my meetup. Sorry. Get the group. Wave, everybody.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, not yet. Woo! Wave. Thank you for coming. This was spectacular.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.